The fool in tarot is not a clown. He is zero, unplaced, unclaimed, outside the cycle. He arrives not with answers, but with a rupture so profound it forces the question. He is the one who wanders through the seams of a dying order, pointing accidentally and instinctively at whatever comes next. A symbol of disorder, yes, but sometimes strangely, a path through it. And in our age of implosion and incoherence, we have our necessary fool. His name is Kanye West. Call him Ye if you like, call him a genius, call him a prophet, call him lost. Whatever name you choose, it won't touch the core of the phenomenon. He is no longer an artist in the conventional sense. He is an event, a glitch, a cultural singularity swallowing both brilliance and ruin. For a while, Ye was a mirror held up to the contradictions of fame, race, ego, and faith.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
But that mirror cracked, and now we are staring not at a reflection, but at a distortion, dark, seductive, and unrelenting.
Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
But this is not about cancel culture. This is not even about celebrity. This is about something older and stranger. Ye is the culmination of the very logic that created him, the end point of aesthetic theory, the grotesque fulfillment of everything Kant, Hegel, and the avant-garde once predicted, then half renounced. He is the perfect artist for now, because he is what art has become, immune from virtue, detached from beauty, a creature of pure will and spectacle. Immanuel Kant imagined the aesthetics as a realm of disinterest, art divorced from desire, floating in the freedom of contemplation. The beautiful for him was that which pleased without purpose, elevated without seducing. And yet, from this purity emerged a fatal contradiction. Once art was set loose from moral anchoring, it became a game of perception. What mattered was the experience, the shock, the inward turn. Hegel went even further. He told us that art would one day exhaust itself, that in the modern world, art would cease to be the primary vessel for truth. It would be replaced by philosophy, then by history, then by systems. Art would become, in his words, a thing of the past. Not that exactly, but displaced. It would survive only as a commentary, a concept. Enter contemporary art. Enter the century of irony, of ready-mades, of white cube galleries, post-Duchamp urinals, post-Fluxus, post-total art matchbox and Warhol soup cans. Enter the age where the object doesn't matter, only the discourse around it. Art became a provocation, an idea, a press release. The museum became a confessional booth for the bored and the educated. Art became a stock asset, an NFT, a shock relic, a tabloid nuisance. The artist no longer needed to craft, he only needed to mean. And this is where Ye emerges, not as a disruption of this logic, but as its perfection. He is Kantian disinterest turned narcissistic spectacle. Hegelian death of art reborn as Elon's X livestream. He is Duchamp's urinal made flash. A man who no longer distinguishes between art and self, between message and madness. A man who betrays the ready-made manufactured objects for the ready-made manufactured symbols, the ready-made meme. He doesn't make work anymore, he is the work. Every breakdown, every anti-Semitic tirade, every flirtation with fascist aesthetic is consumed as content, interpreted as a gesture, decoded as if it were intentional. And perhaps it is. But intention hardly matters anymore. What matters is that people are watching. Because in the culture we've built, even evil can be aestheticized. Actually, especially evil. Nazi iconography, swastikas, the machinery of genocide becomes part of the mood board, repurposed, flattened, worn, transgressed. Not as ideology, but as affect. Hitler becomes not history, but energy, reference. Kanye, his blinded shaman. And the world flinches, but still leans in, because controversy is the last currency that spends. We should be revolted, and we are, but we are also addicted. In a culture of rapid consumption, gooning is postmodernity. And this is a meme.
We have to admit this is somewhat entertaining. You know, this is going to be laughed at by many people.
Because Ye is not simply playing the fool. He is the inverted fool, the one who no longer dances near the cliff, but pulls others over with him, daring them to fall and calling it flight. He is not leaping into the unknown, he is plummeting into a known we thought we buried. And in watching him, we are not witnessing rebellion, we are witnessing rot. The fool has become the mouthpiece of the void. But let's not pretend we didn't build this brick by brick. Ye is not an aberration, he is a consequence. He is what happens when culture treats art as therapy, spectacle, and advertisement all at once. He's the son of Warhol and Joseph Beuys, baptized in neoliberalism, crowned in pixels.
Also die Wesensbeschreibung des Menschen, da sind wir ja schon, ist der Künstler. Alle andere Beschreibung, sagen wir, dieses Begriffes Kunst, führt ja wieder zurück. Dass man sagt, hier sind Künstler und da sind Nicht-Künstler, da sind Könner, da sind Leute, die können was und da sind Leute, die können nichts.
He is what happens when we tell artists to speak their truth without asking what happens if their truth is poison. When we reward confession, even when it curdles into delusion. And worse, he is what happens when we sever aesthetics from ethics. When we believe that anything can be justified if it's interesting, that there is no good or bad, only problematic, that meaning itself is a matter of framing, and morality is a matter of taste. In such a world, Ye is not an outlier, he is the truth exposed. He is what remains when all the scaffolding has collapsed, when we have destroyed beauty, rejected transcendence, and laughed at reverence. He stands in the rubble, naked and screaming, and dares us to call it a masterpiece. So yes, he is the perfect artist for this moment. Not because he uplifts it, because he reveals it, because he embodies it. A world in love with madness, divorced from memory, terrified of silence. A world that can no longer distinguish between transgression and tantrum, between prophecy and pathology. Once, the artist's task was to touch the eternal, to trace the outline of mystery and name it only by suggestion. The old masters knew this, even the radicals knew it. There was danger in their work, yes, but also discipline, silence, risk. Today, the risk is gone. What we call risk now is just volume, just noise. And Ye has given us noise. Brilliant noise, horrible noise, but it's noise nonetheless. And we have called it art because we no longer remember what art was for. But somewhere, the real fool still waits. Not the one selling sneakers or wearing diamond swastikas, but the one who walks alone, the one who dares to wonder again, the one who doesn't perform the mystery, but enters it, who risks obscurity not for attention, but for truth. Until then, we will keep watching Ye, not because we should, but because we can't look away, because he shows us what we've become, a culture that has confused collapse for creation and silence for irrelevance. He is not a warning of what's to come, he is proof that is already here. The question is no longer what is he doing, the question is why did we let him mean so much? But here's the unbearable tension. Ye is a genius, not in spite of the chaos, but through it. Before the spectacle swallowed him whole, Ye reshaped sound itself. He took the language of hip-hop and bent it into something operatic, devotional and grotesque. He gave us Yeezus, Jesus is King, The Life of Pablo, The College Dropout, and he gave us My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I mean, I can keep going. For a time, he made the unthinkable audible. He elevated hip-hop, taking it to new, unexplored territories. Even now, buried under layers of collapse and controversy, that brilliance seeps through. There's a reason we still listen, why the songs still land. Because beneath the debris, there was something sacred, something true. His music wasn't just ahead of its time, it broke time, folded it, rewrote the rules. He made sound feel like revelation. Not every prophet is kind, not every prophet is sane. But prophecy doesn't ask for permission, it ruptures. And Ye, at his peak, tore through the veil. So yes, he is the perfect artist for this moment. Not because he redeems it, but because he reflects it back with terrifying clarity. He is what happens when culture trades nuance for notoriety, when the sacred becomes content, and when genius is consumed faster than it can be understood. He is the fool, the mirror, the wound. And somewhere deep inside the noise, there's still a flicker of that old, impossible fire, the one that made us feel for a moment like we were witnessing something more than just a man, something broken beyond repair and still burning. But listen, we may never forgive Ye. We may never even understand Ye, but we will remember him, because Ye didn't just soundtrack a generation, he embodied its fracture. High aesthetics for a generation raised by fake news, porn, and Coca-Cola equality acts, where the destruction of the World War II consensus is not only imminent, but inevitable. And that, for better or worse, is what art does when it forgets how to lie. And so, the real fool, the one who truly matters, remains out there, beyond the glare of the spotlight and scandal. The one who walks alone through the silence and the ruins, not seeking applause, but daring to hold the question open. Because the true fool is never just noise or rupture, he is the possibility that still lingers after the collapse. The risk that still breathes beneath the wreckage of our spectacle-obsessed age. Until he appears, we're left with Ye. The fool inverted, the mirror cracked, the warning loud and unavoidable. And in watching him, we're forced to ask not only who he is,
what I would do if I didn't win,
but who we have become.
I guess we'll never know.